Hi Lumineers! Welcome to the Lighter Side Show. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium. And today we're going to be channeling. I don't actually know who it's going to be, but you probably already know now on the title. I'm just a little surprised right now. Before we get into the channeling, I have some housekeeping notes. Next week, I believe it is a Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time on Learn It Live, 7 to 8:30. We're going to do channeling on the law of attraction. This is a 4-part series that I'm going to be doing with Darshana Patel, who's amazing. We'll put that link up for you definitely. Then coming in November, 11/11. It's a great day. It's actually my dad's birthday. But this is the day that we're going to start the online intermediate mediumship course. 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Standard Time. Come join me for that. I do little spiritual swag bags that I send out to you. It's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of learning that you can do in the comfort of your own home. Oh, love that. And we also have another basic mediumship online class, and that will be in January. All right, so we're going to repeat these and then look forward to the end of March. We're going to do the advanced mediumship class here in Atlanta. So you guys, you have to fly in to see me. I get to actually hug you and touch you and talk all about how to channel and communicate to your guides and just send you beautiful lumineers on your way because we need more of you in the world. Yes, we do. Now let's get to the channeling on empathic and sensitive children. Enjoy. It was like the alarm for me to come in.
It was.
Maitland's
here.
This is my topic.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Maitland. You gonna stay the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
It's a me show. I still don't have a title to when I come in. Grace has Graceful Insights, but does she get the one where it's all the channeled series is called Graceful Insights, or do we get like the channeled series, Graceful Insights? Maitland knows everything. Can we have that?
Yeah, it's something we can talk about.
Okay.
Originally we had talked about Graceful Insights just being the big umbrella under all of the channeled.
I would like to have my own name, Lumineers. That would be very fun. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has been calling on me to come see them and to help them. I think that's very special, and I love it a lot. And I want to thank the viewers and the listeners for staying connected to us, because there's someone that we know that's making it difficult to watch and difficult to listen, but we will rise above it. That's all I'm going to say on that.
So do you know why you're here today?
Oh,
Are you
yes.
ready for the topic?
I forgot.
Okay.
I like it when I come in and we get to talk to all the people on Vimeo and Facebook.
That's fun. But it's just me and you today.
Okay.
It's really just you. You're the star.
I'm the star. And we're going to talk about empathic and sensitive children, especially in the school environment and in other environments. Because sometimes when the kids are so sensitive, they don't even want to go out to the grocery store, or they don't even want to travel because it's just too much for them. So when I say empathic and sensitive children, what this means, so parents, if you're listening, or even if you don't have children and you can remember your own childhood, I don't know how old you are, but if you can remember your own childhood, then this might resonate really strong with you, because then you might realize why you are the way you are today because of who you were as a kid. Most likely, if you like this information and you're attracted to it, like the whole wholeness living and spirituality and mind, emotion, body, and soul, is because you came in with it. And you didn't come in fully asleep with the amnesia. You came in kind of awake. And so what's happening with the kids that are coming in, I don't know if I can really put a year on it because it's been happening forever, but when kids are coming in, they're choosing less amnesia, and different goals, and more of community and intuition and knowing, and so they have a certain kind of righteousness and knowing that other adults don't understand, or other people don't understand because they didn't pick that path. So when you're sensitive or empathic, it means that Your body is a satellite dish. There you are, you're big like this, and whatever, it doesn't have to be in your vicinity, but whatever is engaging in you, your satellite dish is reading it, beep, boop, 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 and it's touching your body energetically, and then your body is energetically getting the information from it, and it's keeping it. And when it's keeping it, your brain goes, well, that must be mine, and then it like tries to claim it and make it yours when it's not. And so it gets really confusing, because there's some times where you can be very happy and you're having a great day, and then all of a sudden your satellite dish comes on, boopity beep beep boop boop boop, and you connect to your mom who's having a really hard time and who's been crying and all of this, and it's very tough. And then all of a sudden you're getting the information, and your brain goes, you are sad. And then you go, oh. And then there's this other part of your head goes, but I don't know why you're sad. But you're sad. But I don't know why. There's no reason for it. I don't know. But you're sad. And so it's like, oh, well, this isn't making sense. It's not lining up. I can't connect the dots. And then so you think something's wrong with me, or you start to think, everybody else does that too. And not everybody else does that too. Not everybody else. And so the trick of having a satellite dish body, an empathic body, is that you have to identify, what are you reading? What are you perceiving? Boopity boop boop boop. And what are you generating? What's coming from you? Because empathic skills are so real. They're like, ooh, you can almost touch it. They're so real that it's very difficult to understand what is being read and what is being generated, because they'll feel the same, they'll look the same. And so, I mean, it just makes people go crazy. It makes people feel like they are manic depressive. It makes them feel like they're crazy. It makes them feel like they can't manage their own emotions. And so sometimes it leads to chemical addictions, and like even addictions like drinking or drugs, or prescribed drugs from therapies, or even addicted to talk therapies where they feel like they can't manage themselves unless they have somebody else who's talking them through it, because we start to doubt our own abilities. But if you simply just get grounded to the, is it mine? Is it not mine? Mine, not mine. This is me. This is not me. This is me. Wait, what was it? What was the thing? It's acting. Not acting. It's acting.
Yes.
Do you know that one? There was a funny show
mind.
about it.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
I can't. Not acting. I'll think of it. When you see that your kid is sensitive, or even that you're sensitive, it's get down to the basics. Get down right to the mine, not mine. Yes, I own it. No, I don't own it. Didn't even buy it. Didn't put a down deposit on it. Or what's that called? Didn't put a deposit down on it. And so when you even talk to your kids, like you can say, okay, all right, is this yours? Did you generate this feeling? Or were you picking it up and taking it from your friends? And then you're feeling it from your friends. So if they're super, super like little, or you think that they're not going to understand this depth of talk, then get them into understanding yes or no. Say, close your eyes. I will now hypnotize you. Wouldn't that be great? Woo! No. Just tell them to close their eyes and to feel yes, and to feel it like in their body, to see the color of yes, to hear yes. Jamie does this all the time. Like, what are all the sensory things that create yes? Like, do you feel it in a certain part in your body? Do you feel like falling forward, pushing back, going high, going low? And you just ask your kids this, and they're like, oh, it feels like this, and it looks like that. And they're like, great. And then you do no. What does no look like? Does it have a color? Does it have a sound? Does it push you forward? Does it push you back? Does it pull you up? Does it pull it down? What does it look like? And then kids are so creative, and they're like, oh, no, it's like this. Da, 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 da. And you go, okay. So then you say, next time they're having an emotional like breakdown and screaming or whatnot because they're fine in the car, but then when you get them into the grocery store, And you're like, that's not who you were a moment ago. You must be having a meltdown. Okay, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Did we skip something? Well, it might not be any of that, parents. It simply might be that when they get into the grocery store, they are boopity boop, 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 everybody's information in every box and can that's on the shelf and who touched it and who made it and what's inside and where it was grown and why it was grown and what the sun was like and everything, because all that information is stored in all the inanimate and animate objects around you. It is, 100%. But the great thing about being human is that we're more dense and we don't feel all of that. We don't get all of that information. But some of us, we're dense, but boom, we're super sensitive to it. So we're collecting that information without knowing. So then you could say, okay, there's a meltdown and you went through, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you have to use the bathroom? What's going on? Blah. And you're like, wait a second, are you feeling you? Is this yes, mine? Or is this no, something else? No, I don't have it. Yes, no. And pretty soon, you'll just have to look at your kid across the room and you'll be like, how are you feeling? Is this you or is this someone else? And you're like, okay, come here, let's talk. And then you know how to talk it out and work it with them. But if it's this, you're like, okay, we need to talk about surrounding yourself and clipping away from the information. Because it's just like, I tell Jamie this all the time, like when you connect to something, you can't just drop it like a hot cake and you're done with it. It's like undoing the plug in the bathtub. The water just doesn't go boop. It goes, and it takes time. And then you come back, you're like 10 minutes later, and it's like, and it's almost done. You're like, okay. So it's just like that. When you are collecting the information as a satellite dish, when you cut it off or when you protect yourself, there's a motion that occurs. There's a conscious uncoupling.
That's like a new book or a new way to be.
That's a new way to be. And so you're coming away from it, and it'll take a little while. So you have to give your kids that time. Now, what's super unfortunate is that when you're in school, when your kids are in school, that most likely they do not have that time. They don't. The teacher's not going to go, oh, I see something's happening. Do you need a moment? They're going to say, stop doing that. Sit down. Let's look. No, I don't mean that every teacher is like that. I'm being very exaggerated because what's really happening when we're in the public school system, there is, and I'm talking public school system in general, that doesn't mean every teacher. But what happens is you have the one authority, the one teacher who has all the others, who has all the other kids. Wow, my throat's tickly.
Be careful with Jamie's necklace. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know it's so much fun to play with, and I was just...
It is fun to play with.
Thank you for giving it to me.
You're welcome. So there's the one teacher, and there's like the 30 kids, or 23, 25, whatever. And so the teacher immediately, because the society and the culture that we're coming out of, we're coming out of it. We really are. So take a deep breath. Oh, we're coming out of it. But when school was taught and when teachers were trained, it was about staying in control of the students, staying in control of your room.
Being an authority figure.
Being an authority figure. That's what the teachers were taught. That was an important factor of having a healthy learning environment, was to show that you were leading. But there's been a ton of other studies where the authority isn't necessary to be a teacher. It's not necessary. It can be a team effort. And so there's sprouted up all kinds of privates and learning schools, Montessori and Waldorf and the free school, and oh God, there's so many other wonderful ones I know I'm missing. But where they consider the learning environment to be, or the teachers to kind of be everybody in the room, not the authority figure. And then with the public school, it's managed by the government, so the government sets the standards and the testing, and they did it because they thought it was healthy, just like when you set rules at home that you want your family to achieve so that the house stays productive and moves forward. But in learning, you don't need the rules. So what's happening is because the government is in control over it, they have to cover X amount of topics within a certain amount of time. So there's a need for time. Time is very valuable in public schools. And so they speed through. So if your child is being empathic and sensitive to everything around, the teacher is not going to want to slow down to handle the one. I bet in most cases the teacher really wants to. Like inside, the teacher's like, oh, I want to hold them, I want to talk to them, but now I have 29 other students that need my attention. So that's like my small speech of why I think schools should all be charter schools and not governed by the government. I think that would be a good first step in the education system. And then on top of that, I think nonviolent communication can be taught from second grade on. Like as you're learning.
Why do you think second grade and not earlier? So there's got to be a beginner's nonviolent communication for young kids.
Every teacher, I would like every teacher to be certified in nonviolent communication, and that there are actions you can show and how you can play with nonviolent communication guidelines, and those can be presented in kindergarten and first grade, but as a specific topic in how to communicate. I think in second grade, where you're like 7 and 8, you're starting to reach those experiences that really just change who you are in your entire life. It starts to solidify, and then it would give you the subjects to communicate through nonviolent communication. Because in kindergarten, it's still learning what is a room and what is a community and what's a learning environment. So I think if it was designed around nonviolent communication, but it's not taught as a subject, that would be a great intro. Same in first grade, they're learning what their subjects are going to be and how they need to show up and time and structure. But then in second grade, we have best friends and we have fallings apart. We have hearts that are opening and first kisses. And
in second grade?
Yeah.
Maitland.
I didn't do that. Well, I had a boy who wanted to kiss me. But that wasn't, I was much younger. That was in kindergarten. But in second grade, there are those different ranges of emotions. And I think with that range of emotions, it would be a great fit to start teaching the language of nonviolent communication.
So you're saying in kindergarten and first grade, they're getting it modeled by the teacher rather than an actual subject, and then in second grade, start the subject.
Yeah, I think second through sixth grade or second through fifth grade, I think I would like it to be a topic, like a class you take, and then that language that you learn, like a secondary language, is a way of communicating. Then you could take that from sixth or seventh grade on. You wouldn't have to teach it because it would be part of who they are.
Are there any schools right now teaching that? Do you know?
There are some middle schools who are learning it, but it's mostly like an after or a bonus program. It's not in the curriculum. There are just maybe under 6 schools that are teaching it as a curriculum.
Oh my goodness.
But it would be great if it were a curriculum, because what would happen is your empathic and your sensitive children, your children who are seeing lights and spirits and knowing things that other people aren't knowing, all of a sudden they're not seen as an outsider. In fact, anybody who has a learning disability or a physical handicap or a mental disability would not feel like if they were an outsider. The thing that's great about nonviolent communication is that it's based on a non-judgment, And so you're able to talk about all the things in history and in social learning developments and not create that division. So I wanted to talk about tools. We talked about yes, mine, no, not mine. Me, acting. This is me, this is acting.
I'd love for you to specifically address, and you're probably getting there, but when you ask your child, is this mine, is this not mine, what if it's mine, and you are not present to be the nurturer? So, for instance, they're at school, they check themselves, is this mine, is this not mine? They recognize it's mine. What then tools can we give them to get through their day?
Okay, let's do that one first. I always like to know how your child learns the easiest. What are their most sensational parts of learning or pacifying themselves? Like, is it listening to something? Is it seeing something? Is it an image? Is it hearing? I already said listening, hearing something. Is it touching something? Is it smelling something? Most likely, empathic and sensitive children will like touch. And so I really like the story, and we had these stories too growing up, that when the lover or the husband went off on a boat to go sail because they were fishermen or whatever, the wives left behind would have a worry rock or a worry stone, and it fits in the palm of your hand, and you can make your thumb rub on it. And that's where you would place all your worries and your concerns, like the rock would take it from you. So you can get those now. I think they sell them.
They do.
They do?
Yep.
That's funny. We used to walk the beaches and find them.
They absolutely sell them. They have the little grooves in them, and you can even buy them according to what stones you want, like rose quartz or
Also,
lapis.
like the color.
Yes.
So you could ask your child, what's your favorite color? And then you could buy the stone based on that color, and they can put it in their pocket or put it in their backpack.
I know too, for my daughter, she got some worry dolls and she carries them with her.
The worry dolls. That's kind of like at the end of the necklace you
Yes.
took. They have like little frizzy stuff, and you can touch them. They're very sensational. What do they call it?
You can also
Tactile.
put, I think they're advertised, or in the past they've been used to put under your pillow at night when you go to sleep to take away your worries. But she chooses to carry them in her backpack.
Yes.
Yep.
A stuffed animal could do that, but if they're older, then that doesn't help because other kids will make fun of it. And if your kid is already sensitive, then receiving all the making fun of you energy is not fun at all. So you can use beads, like in a bracelet. You could use the necklace like that Jamie had, the mala. It has all the beads. You could teach your kid a mantra, a favorite saying. It's kind of like how they use the rosaries, where they touch it and they say the Lord's Prayer. Mm-hmm. When you have a mala, you touch it and you repeat your mantra that your teacher gave to you, and you do that. So there's incantations, affirmations, and mantras. There's pictures. So you can give a picture or a Post-it note. One of my favorite things is a smell. They have these little tiny roll-on smells, and if that's too big, you can put it on a cotton ball in a Ziploc baggie, because you could just, nobody's gonna think that's weird or anything. Well, because if you have a little roller, then you might get teased like you have perfume or something. But you can put it on the cotton ball and then take the cotton ball out of the Ziploc baggie, and then it's also something soft to touch as well. I like lavender for these moments. There's calming aromatherapies, and you can look at those online, and I would definitely look at the ones that are more non-toxic and digestible, because children are very good at touching something and then touching their eyes and their mouth. So just be aware of that. You can also put the spray of the oil, the essential oil, or the perfume, whatever it is, on the inside of the sleeve. It'll last a little bit longer. And so when they're sitting at their desk, they can put their their nose down kind of next to their long sleeves and they can smell it. So there's all kind of sneaky ways, like underneath the collar. We're going to talk about talismans, amulets, and symbols too.
Mm-hmm. We are today.
We're going to talk about that today. So that'd be cool if they came out together, this talk, because then those you can design to help your kid move their energy to a centered point to pacify them and get them more neutral. So when you get your kid to understand yes and no, then help them understand what centered means. Like, you can begin to teach them because they're sensitive, they're ready to be taught, and you tell them about the straw that's in their body from the top of their head down to the bottom of their butt. But it doesn't do the same function. This one runs the neutral energy, and the right side of your body runs the positive energy, the masculine energy, and then the left side of the body runs the neutral energy, the feminine energy. And so when we get triggered, when we're sensitive, when we're reading information, boopity boop, 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 it'll show up and it'll trigger like a masculine quality or passive, like an aggressive or passive, because there's different vibrations in the emotional rainbow, and it will trigger it. And what we want them to do is, if it's not theirs, that they learn how to take this information and they make it neutral. Unplug the water out of the bathtub and make it neutral, because that will move it then out of them, and it won't trigger them to be upset by it or feel like they have to be responsible or in control over it. And so in getting them to find their neutral spot, you can use a talisman, an amulet. You could use a symbol. You could use affirmation words. You can use aromatherapies. You can use crystals, worry stones, all of this. And breath. Breath is amazing. You can tell them to hold their breath. I can hold it for a really long time, but I don't think you want that much silence. And you can let it out. So you can do those kinds of things where you give them visualizations in their head about what information they're reading, that it kind of comes to the surface and it gets neutral. You don't either have to love it or hate it. You don't have to...
Oh my...
Did you hear my stomach growl?
I did.
She needs to eat.
Or maybe she ate and is digesting, or she needs to eat now.
She didn't eat breakfast.
Oh, okay.
It's a hungry growl.
It's a hungry
right
growl.
Here.
Oh. Well, we have to feed her soon.
That's fun.
That was fun.
I don't get to feel that so often. Your body's alive. All of it is alive. It's really cool to be human. So
Sometimes
it can be very hard, but it can also be very joyful.
That's true.
So when you're teaching them with those items to get it neutral, to neither love it nor hate it, just understand that if it's not theirs, then it's the other person or the other space or the other animal or the other tree's responsibility to handle it. You were just talented enough in that moment to kind of receive the information of how the other one was feeling, so that if you were to engage with them, you would know how. And so once repetition, repeat, be constant in repeating, because that's how us kids learn, is that if you repeat it to us, we kind of get it, and then we put it into practice, and we try it, and then we find out what works, and then we can put it into action. And it's very nice. Oh, so there's other things that you can do when we're talking about a classroom setting. So let's say if it was theirs, then that's what they can learn to do. Get neutral, use those things. But if it's not theirs, if it's nope, then how can you help them learn to cut away from it, acknowledge that it's somebody else's, and start to protect themselves so that they don't receive that energy again? And so what you can do is you can teach them how to surround themselves with a white light and surround where that information is coming from with white light. Don't forget that one. Do themselves, take care of yourself. I did it again. Take care of themselves first, and then take care of, I just want to listen to it now. But I know that's not what the show is about. Never does it when you want to,
It
huh?
stopped. It stopped. I think it's done.
Probably not. But when you get them to cut away from that energy, you always teach them take care of themselves first, and then take care of the other people. That's what she gets. She's going to publish this one with her stomach growling. I bet she'll never miss breakfast again.
I don't know if our viewers and our listeners can hear it as well as you and I can.
Oh, really?
Yes. So for the listeners, Jamie's tummy is really alive right now. And Maitland is being very entertained by it.
It's growling.
I have a question for you, Maitland.
Yeah.
This is a personal question, but I feel like it is going to, I feel like a lot of our viewers are going to be able to relate to this. So you have a child who's very sensitive.
Yes.
And takes in everything, and you give them all these tools.
Yes.
You've given them surround yourself in white light. They're carrying black tourmaline. They have worry dolls. They still are not comfortable in their environment. And it's an environment that they have to put themselves in every day because it is their school. Yes.
Do they have to?
Exactly. So what do we do as parents when the environment is no longer feeding our children?
That is the right word. When your child
Not
is
feeding their
like,
soul.
forget it, I'm out of here. You want to think, as a parent, you are very stubborn. And you need to persevere. And you need to get in there and you need to do your best. But every day. Yes. They're like, no. And you're like, this is going to make you tougher. This is going to make you a better person. Because this is what the real world is like. Well, guess what, people? Not to empathic and sensitive children, this is not what the real world is like. Because when they're in control, their environment is beautiful. It's in harmony. And as a kid, for some reason, your planet down here doesn't think that children are in control. They're subordinates. They don't have a right. And it's sad, especially for those who are empathic. So if they're again and again and again saying, no, 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 then it's time that you say, how can I help you then? What do you want to do? And as a parent, you might find that you have to remove them from the school and put them into another school. You might find that now you have to pay for the school, whereas it was free before. And so that's a new situation at home. You might find that you homeschool them, and then you have the concern of their social skills. Like, are they going to play with other children? Are they going to know how to talk to other children? Oh, yeah, they will. But what's going to help them grow better and faster is to feed their need of being in an environment that has harmony, that has energy that they want to connect to. Because the lessons might be okay in the school, but it could be the crop of kids or the crop of people that are around them that your child cannot connect to them. And so they might instinctively be an extrovert because they love the world and people and it's beautiful, but they get in this crop where it's a good school and things are fine, but this crop is around them. And for them, they have to be introvert because they can't connect to them. It hurts too bad. Now they're forced to be an introvert and they get quiet and they sacrifice this extrovert personality. And that's a huge, huge sacrifice for a kid. And I would say children instinctively know, even in kindergarten, what room they want to be in. Even in pre-K, pre-K. They know, you ask. And they say, I like it, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. And that's what you run with. It's not pandering to your child's needs, or it's not spoiling your child. It is saying, I don't like when people say, oh, you're spoiling your child and blah, 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 blah.
They're letting them manipulate you. That's
yeah,
what a lot of people,
yes.
If you let the child be in control, you're
She's
seeing this as a
manipulated.
pushover or being manipulated.
That's not spoiling, parents. In the spiritual world, it's called providing energetic safety. It's spoiling is when you give material all the time. you give, like, I want a pony. Okay, here's a pony. Now I want a squirrel. Here's a squirrel. Now I want a horse. Here's, now a horse. And here's a cat. Here's, like, you just give
You're
to
talking
them
about yourself.
whatever they ask for. I would love all those animals.
Squirrel.
I love squirrels. But when the child is saying, I can't manage the school, and you're saying, well, your options are out, you gotta go, that's not true. There are options. It's just you as a parent maybe don't want to do those options because it might be financial straining or it might be time constraint. But take care of your children like you would take care of yourself. Even though they're little, they know what they want. They can be in control. It is the most oddest thing when you're dead and you're from another planet and you come here and the little people have no rights. The young people.
It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. But that's what society and culture kind of designed and made it that way. That's not the natural way. It's not the natural way. And you'll find that in some of these other schools that are cropping up, like a charter school or a private school, they're allowing the child to be in control over their own learning. And guess what? They're growing faster intellectually, and they're doing 7th grade work in 4th grade, and they get to go at a speed they want, and they feed their bodies as they wish, and so it's really nice. But I think when we get to that spot too, you also have to look at, as a parent, how do you talk to the teachers about your child? And not sounding like you're asking them for special attention and saying, well, my kid is special, she's real sensitive. She can feel what everybody else is feeling. And I'm sure the teacher's like,
I've actually had to do that, and it's worked in my favor.
Yes.
I'll be honest, and I understand that not a lot of the teachers would respond that way. But the conversations that I've had over the past 3 years with teachers they've understood.
Some will understand and say, I get it. Mm-hmm. Now I know where to place her in the room. Now I know to pay attention to what she's looking at and what's happening around, because learning difficulties have become so popular. This is almost like the new fad in learning. What are your learning difficulties, or what are your learning styles, so I can teach to that, which is a huge leap in the educational system. But at the same time, when we talk about energetically being sensitive and being a satellite dish, in general, the teachers aren't going to really get it. They'll think, well, maybe your child needs medication. That's not right. We want to make them more of the norm and fit them in. And you're like, actually, my child's not broken. She's just highly aware. She runs differently than the other children. But when you talk to the teacher and explain and just say, here are the tools that I use. When my child explains to me that it's something she's going through, that it's a me, or he says it's a me, then I say, hey, take a minute, go get some water, count to 10, hold the stone, whatever it is. Give the teacher the tools that you use at home so the teacher can use it in the classroom. And then if it's a not me situation, give those tools to the teacher as well, where you say, hey, remember how your mom or your dad talks to you about what to do when this happens? Take a moment to get that done so that you can come back and learn this wonderful material. Because most likely, if the teacher can advocate for the child, even just small, simple words, then the teacher won't feel like they have to be in control or authority over what's happening and break it up. The teacher can then go, ooh, inside track. Hey, try this, do this, as you said, blah, 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 take care of it. Okay, class, back on track. So there's ways to communicate to the teacher where you're not asking for special treatment, but just saying, this is how my child works. This is how my child learns. If you want greater success with them, go this route, and they will be forever yours. And that's how that works. And the teacher's like, wow, yeah. I'm telling you, teachers are teachers because they love children. They love them.
And they want to help them.
They want to help them. That's like their inner core. But then as they get into the classroom and there's 30 of them and they don't know them, they're getting to know the child's entire life on a 1-year time frame, and then they lose them. That's a lot. And some of them have a different group of 30 kids every hour. That's a lot. So as a teacher, go in, knock, knock, knock. Hey, this is me, that one's mine, and this is what's happening. You write it down, draw some pictures, whatever it is, and just go, that's the inside track to that child. Enjoy. They're great.
So we have about 5 minutes.
No, we don't.
Yes.
What are we going to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? What do you feel like you haven't covered that's really important for kids? I know we talked about maybe covering some things. I know we talked a lot about school, covering things that we can do in the home, around bedtime or morning time ritual, some ideas that we can do to help prepare our children for their day.
Yeah, because there's a lot of nighttime and morning time anxiety with empathic and sensitive children. If they are experiencing a difficult school day or wherever they go, then they'll most likely associate it to their morning and their evening, because now the day is over, we're going to bed and I have to do this over again. And then they have a peaceful sleep, but then they wake up and they're like, oh my God, I have to do this over again. So with empathic children, they kind of recall everything because they feel it. They've acted it out. They've taken that information, boop, 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 and they've made it theirs and they've acted it out and they own it. So it's very terrifying to have to do it all again. But if we remind them, every moment is a new one. It's not going to happen the same way. And you know a great way to explain this? Get a bag of balloons. Blow the balloons up with air. Tie them. Lay them down. If you want, you can tape them to the floor if you have like a windy room so they don't fly everywhere, but you can lie them in a row. And at least do like 7 or 8. Make them all different colors because that's important at the end, okay? Get a needle. If your kids are afraid of balloons, it's great. They'll probably hide in another room and you will have to do it. If they're not, then they get to do it. And then you pop the balloons. Pow, 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 pow. Do them all. Pow. And then you go, okay. So we did the same action to the same manufactured balloon that we put the same amount of air in. They were like the same size. But that same action and repetition, it's every day at school. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. That look at the way the balloon exploded. Where did the blue fibers go? Where did the yellow, where did the red go? Where did the orange go? And they're all different. Every single one of them is going to be different. And it's a great visual for a kid because you say, Monday is going to be different than Friday was. And Tuesday is going to be different than Monday or Friday or anyone else. And that you are in control of your different because of the way that you set your intent for the day. And you go through and you look at every single balloon and you talk about the differences and where it went and how it went, because no matter the same repetition of going to school, the same thing, a different outcome happened. And so you show it to them. And then you help them set their intent for the day and their intent for bedtime. So their intent for the day, every experience is new and that I'm in control. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. Go to school. And then at night, it could be, I'm closing my day, I'm loving myself, I'm giving myself rest. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and they can rest. That's a very good thing to do.
I like it.
Thanks.
Just a couple of nighttime tips.
Nighttime. It's because you want to know them.
I feel like I've got a nice little, what do you call it? Pocket of nighttime tips, but I would love to hear more. And I know that I'm not the only parent that wants to hear them.
Nighttime tips for sensitive children, because a lot of times in dreams, spirits come through, and also in the nighttime, your natural intuitive state is increased. Because you have the hypnagogic states, and that's a state right before you fall asleep where your brain is kind of lucid, and a lot of communication and healings happen then. So I like a nighttime prayer or blessing or statement that you can sing or say before you go to bed. And kids and adults alike understand sunset and sunrise. So when you say your ones that you go to bed, you're like, as the sun has set, and nighttime is here, then this is what I want, this is what's happened, but this will change when the sun rises. And so I would definitely have the words. But if you've got a kinetic person, a kinetic child, I would put them on the chi machine. I'd hook them up to like a vibrating machine. I'd throw them on top of the washing machine or on top of the car and rev the engine.
That's a great nighttime recommendation.
The wiggling and shaking, if you don't have a machine, then you can use your hands. And you take one hand, take your right hand, your masculine hand, and you put it on the belly, right below the belly button. Take 2 fingers and go below the belly button and find the hips and put your hand there. It's really soft. And then you put kind of firm pressure. And then you take the other hand, the left hand, and you put it on the forehead or on the top of the head, but right there. And then with your right hand, you shake and you wiggle, and it wiggles the hips. And the hips are kind of like the core. It'll wiggle the spine. It'll wiggle the legs. You'll know it's working when your children's toes, they go whoop, 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 and they're wiggling. And you're like, oh, that's good. And then you look at their head and you watch their nose. And their nose is going. Their jaw will fall open. Their arms will flap on the floor. And you've got one hand on the head and then one hand in between. It's a polarity hold, and it runs energy, and it cleanses the energy out of the spine, the lower back, and in the legs, and it allows for like a clean, energetic body. And that's good for a kinetic kid. And they just go, and you would rock, like your arms will get sore, but like 3 minutes really good, and you can rock really fast, and then a minute of kind of slow. And then take like a minute to go uber slow, where you can barely feel it moving, and then you just lightly take your hands off. Don't just stop. Then they go, what are you doing? Like slow, and then take it out. Oh, and then smells. I really like smells. And use a red light in your child's room, because red is the lowest vibrational light, and it doesn't trigger their brain to think that it's awake. And so the cells can actually repair and rest with red light, even if they open their eyes at night.
And give us 3 smells. I know lavender.
I like lavender. I like, for sleeping, I kind of like rose. Mm-hmm. But then I also like something like kind of dirt-like. I think a sandalwood is too sweet, but like a cedar, or even the prayer wood is very nice. Even though it's sweeter, it has a nice grounding element to it. And then I like rose quartz as a stone. I like black tourmaline. I like onyx. And I also like carnelian.
Thank you, Maitland.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We're going to have to think of a name for your segment.
Yeah.
Like Minutes with Maitland's Moments or something.
Maitland's
More fun than that.
Moments.
That's boring.
It sounds like I'm having a moment in the bathroom.
Okay, my head was not going there, but now it is. We can ask for help, because the Lumineers are amazing at that kind of stuff.
I love you, Lumineers.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye. Bye, alligator.
I was going to say, do you notice I didn't say it? I said, see you later.
Well, there's no one here to help me.
I'll see you later, alligator.
After a while, a crocodile.
I'll see you soon, baboon.
Hasta mañana, iguana.
Bye-bye, butterfly.
Cut a rug, ladybug.
I love that one. Toodaloo, kangaroo.
Oh, we came up with a new one the other day. Lily and I did. Cut it loose, mongoose.
That's fantastic. Cut it loose, mongoose. We are going to cut it loose, mongoose. Bye, Lumineers.
Bye.
Side.